So in this session on PhD coursework, we are going to discuss about literature review, or we can call it review of related literature. Now, this session is divided into three parts. The first component we will see today, then tomorrow we will see second, and if possible, third also. If we will have a longer session, then both the components we will take tomorrow. Otherwise, day after tomorrow, we will see the third one. Now, in the first component of in this chapter, what we want to see is about what is the relation between knower and the known. We as a research scholars are knower, and we are trying to know something. So in what way we see this process of knowing something? Knowing leads to knowledge. What is knowledge? What is it to be the existence of knowledge? Or what is it also to be the existence of ourself as a knower also? All these kinds of things we'll try to see, which will help us in making our position very clear as a knower, and what we are trying to see, and what other aspects we have to keep in mind when we try to do that. In second part, we will see about what, why, and how of literature review. What is it, why we need to do, and how we can do that, we will see in the second part. And the third part will be about our practical examples, that how exactly how practically it can be done. One or two samples will be discussed. Okay? So in the first component, which we have to see here, let me share a screen so you can also have a look at it. Yes, so are you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, okay, here's again. You might have gone through this this slide. Okay. What, why of literature are very important. The paradigm dialogue in which E.G. Guba has argued that there are three fundamental research questions. There are three fundamental research questions that structure any research project. Okay? Well, the first one is, what is there that can be known? What is there that can be known means what is knowable. Now, see, when you listen all these questions, you have to constantly keep your topic in your mind. Your topic in your mind. That what are you trying to know? What is it that to be known in that topic? So I may give variety of examples, but for you, now as the topics are already decided by you, you just have to constantly keep on raising these questions. So what is there that can be known? What is knowable? So what do you want to know? Is it knowable? Now, imagine, for example, if you are doing a PhD on whether God exists or not. Now is God knowable? Highly problematic thing. And I think your PhD may never come to evidences. You require proofs, and you won't be able to have proof to prove he exists. Neither you will have proof to prove that he is not existing. So that research never comes to an end. What we are trying to do, is it knowable or not? How far it is knowable? So what is there that can be known? Then second one, what is the relation of the knower and the known? Now, how are you related with that topic? So what now relations? For example, there are many times the topics are very emotional topics. Sometimes the topics are very emotional. Now, in that case, our identities get so attached with our topic that we get emotionally connected with those topics. Now, what happens when we do that is that we cannot question or critique anything with which we are emotionally connected. So, for example, if I am a Dalit, and I am doing a research in Dalit literature, then I may have a kind of an emotional connection about my identity. I am very much conscious about my identity, and I read the kind of things in a similar way. Then the research outcome can be problematic, because I may not be able to read something against what I want to read. I cannot make a critique, QUE, CRITIQUE, critique of what I am reading. So objectivity will be absent. The same way, if I am any other identity, I am a Brahmin or a Kshatriya or a white person or a black person, or a gender identity like I am a woman or a man, or I am gay or a lesbian, anything, and I am studying those areas. And then there are always this problem that if our identity itself comes as a hurdle, then how are we going to know those things? So that is very important, that what is the relation between the knower and the known, and what kind of relation we expect? Completely objective relation. We are a researcher. We are trying to study that, and so we want pros and cons. We want to see the favorable part and unfavorable part. We want to see positive aspect as well as negative aspect. Whatever comes out, we are going to write and analyze it. We are not here sitting right down to say that, well, what I am seeing is the truth, is the best truth. And this research, when it will be out, the humanity will be greatly benefited. So not those kinds of positions we are going to take here. Here, initially when we start, we just want to observe the things, what things are there, without any kinds of personal biases or personal prejudices also. So that is why this, what is the relation of the knower and the known, that is what thing is there, your topic and you, what is that relation, what exactly you want to do, and what should be it? You are curious to know what is there. You are curious to know what is there. You don't want to right now prove that this is good or this is bad. Not in that way. You just want to observe that. Later on, your hypothesis will develop into that region where you will try to make some kind of firm statements about your observations, but it will come later on. How do we find things out? This is very interesting. How do we find things? How do we know? How do we know things? We can ask this question to ourselves, that what are the things I know? And how have I come to know about those things? Well, something was taught by teachers, many things were taught by parents, and great many things were taught by our experience. So from schools and teachers to parents to experience, life, and we have learned so many things there. But do we have an inventory of those things? Do we have an inventory that this I learned from here, that from that? Well, rarely anybody will keep or have a diary writing habit in such a way that each and every things are noted down perfectly well. It won't be there. As a research scholar, you will have to do all these things. As a research scholar, you have to document each and everything, from where you are knowing, from which book, which source, with the talk with somebody, watching something, reading something, wherever the things are coming, you have to note down the things. But how do we find things out? When we enter into this, how do we find? At that time, we have to remember one more thing, which came from two psychologists. They have given what we call it as Zohari Window. Yes, Zohari Window. Yes. And that is given by two psychologists. It was Joseph, from where Joe came, and Harrington was the name from where we got this name, Harry. Harry. It is also like Zohari. Zohari seems to be like an Indian word, Zohari Window, but it is a mixture of two words, Joe, Harry. And you are seeing one picture, which is a kind of a framing from Johari Window. It is framed. It is not what exactly Johari wanted to say. That is Joseph Luft and Harrington Ingham. They gave this idea, and they are divided in 4 parts. So there are 4 windows. And normally it is used for personality types, about our relation with other people, about communication skills and other things. How do we know us? How other people know us? That is about human communications and knowability. And man to man or human to human knowability was more important in this. So if people want to develop good communication skills or people want to be successful in organizations, in teamwork, then Zohari window is very useful to understand those things. Here we are not trying to go into human to human relations. What is important for us is that research scholar to the research topic. What is your relation and how do you? So when you will try to know something, your known and yourself will have a very conspicuous relations. And in that way, when we try to look at our own selves, we remember this 4 window based on the idea of Zohari window, which tries to say that the first column in the far there we find I know what I know. Yes, I know what I know. From there down you come down, it is I know what I don't know. Okay, so if simple examples are given, then we can say that I know how to drive a bike or a car or a cycle. I know what I know. I also know what I don't know. For example, I don't know how to drive aeroplane. That also I know. So there are many things which we know that we don't know. So we are aware about the things that we don't know, several things. Then I don't know what I know. I don't know what I know. So I'm going into the darker sides of myself. But here it is that I may know, but I don't know. But when the opportunity came, I was able to do that. So then I realized suddenly, well, I was not knowing that I knew this. I was not knowing that I knew this, but I was able to. So earlier I didn't know that I know this. The fourth one is the darkest. The fourth one among all these 3 is the most darkest. I don't know what I don't know. Now, as a research scholar, we always have to keep this gap in our mind. That when I am trying to know everything, it is possible that there may be things which will never be known to me. So, skepticism. Skepticism is something very important to have always with us, because we understand that there are these 4 realms of knowability. Within that, what I know is very important. What I don't know, what I know, that all are fine. But there is always a kind of a gap wherein we don't know what we don't know. And if I do not remember this constantly, if I don't doubt my knowability, if I do not doubt my very process of knowing and other kinds of things, then also I may be leading towards nowhere, or maybe I may be keeping, I may be making some kinds of mistakes in my research or doing the things also. This, which obviously comes from the idea of skepticism. And skepticism means, you can, one way you can say doubt. Yes, doubt is very important. But in Zohari window, what we are seeing here with the help of that is that self-doubt. Yes, this is self-doubt, which is what we are trying to remember here or keep in mind, that I am doubting myself, that what I am understanding perhaps may not be right. I am reading this novel, I'm studying this research paper, I'm observing this book, this research outcome, but maybe what I am concluding is wrong or doubtful. So keep that doubt, so that what will happen is that you will always keep on cross-checking, and you will not completely rely on yourself that my understanding is the final understanding. So in your research writing, you will be able to save yourself from making some sweeping general statements, which may be incomplete observations also. So this is very important. Now, skepticism, when you see with capital S, with capital S, if you see skepticism, it means that complete knowledge is impossible. Knowing everything is impossible. That is that philosophical concept. Skepticism, capital S. Small s, you can say doubting, questioning. And that also is quite true. That also is quite true, that complete knowledge is impossible. We can never know everything, because we can know only through our mind or our senses, our 5 senses, our gnanendriya. Only through that we will be able to know. There may be many things in the universe or the world or in our research area which may perhaps go beyond our experience, beyond our knowledge also, and then it becomes problematic. So that gray area we always have to keep in mind. It is from here that our limitations normally emerges. Our limitations emerges from this region, that this research has this limitations. No researcher can say that my research has no limitations. It is not possible. It is always there, but from here it will come. But once you are alert about this region, in many other ways you will be able to cover up many questions which people may want to ask or want to know out of this. So these four positions, this window image, always we have to keep in mind about this, and that obviously comes from the idea about how do we find things out. How do we find things out? In that process we find that, well, knowing is not that easy. It's not that easy. There is always a space for skepticism, doubt, self-doubt is necessary part of any of the researches. And when we think of research thing, we have to remember that research is more scientific process of doing the things, and one of the basic fundamentals of science always is to doubt and also to question things, and also to question. Without doubting or without questioning, we can never lead to anything. So if you think that, well, one should have faith, faith is good, well, that is good. That is for the other aspect. It is not for research scholars. Not for, if you want to be a normal human being, faith can help you in living a happy life. Faith can help you, and doubt can create some problems in your life. But you are not a normal human being. You are a research scholar, and research scholars are not happy human beings. Yeah. So if you want to be happy, don't do PhD. If you want to be happy, don't walk on the path of knowledge. This path of knowledge is not of those layman's happiness kind of a thing. This path is a much different kind of a thing, where there is happiness, but not like the normal human beings normally have a kind of a happiness there. Sukh and Anand, these two words, Sukh and Anand, these two words are there. એટલે આપણે એમને નિરાતે સૂતા હોય તો એનું સુખ હોય, અને એકદમ જાગતા હોય ને કંઈક વાંચતા હોય તો એનો આનંદ લેતા હોય આપણે. ભલે ઊંઘ ના આવતી હોય, ભલે આપણે સૂઈ ન શકતા હોય, પણ we may be having a kind of a nijanand, but the another person who is sleeping may be having a sukh, but the one who is awakened, there was very interesting anecdote that Vinod Bhai Joshi used to share in our class when he used to teach this Indian poetics, that he said that બસમાં મુસાફરી કરી રહેલો હોય વ્યક્તિ, એકને જગ્યા મળે છે, બીજાને ઊભા ઊભા જવું પડે છે, આખી રાતની મુસાફરી હતી, પેલો નિરાતે ઘોરવા માંડે છે, જે બેસી ગયો તો એને એમ થાય છે કે હાસ મને સીટ મળી ગઈ અને ઊંઘી જઈશું નિરાતે, અને એક જે બાજુમાં ઊભો છે, પગ દુખે છે, શરીરમાં વેદના છે, ત્યાં અચાનક સરસ મજાનો ચંદ્રોદય થાય છે, અને આખી રાત ચંદ્રનો ઉદય, ચંદ્રની રોશની, એનો આનંદ લેતા લેતા આખી રાત પસાર કરે. પેલો સૂતો છે, એમને આનંદ નથી મળ્યો, એમને સુખ મળ્યું છે, એમને સુખ અને આનંદ. So as a research scholar, when you doubt, as a layman, doubt is bad, but as a research scholar, it is necessary. And to be a research scholar is always a painful process. So if you think that, well, I want to be happy, the best idea is don't do the research. Leave this part, because this path is not for those kinds of happiness is there. So no faith, doubt. No faith, doubt, and questions, which becomes necessary part of how do we find things. We find things if we have doubt. We find things if we have questions. And the best space to practice that is self-doubt. Self-doubt. Whatever I am reading, is it perfect? Is it okay? Column, the darkest one, we have to always keep in mind. Now, from this, we move one step further, and we find that N. Gray in research practice for cultural studies has given very interesting propositions here, and elaborated all these questions which we initially asked there, and says that what is there that can be known, what is there that, remember again your topic, your research topic, what is there that can be known, what is knowable, question, and what is this ontological, that also we will see here. Ontological question. This is ontological a question that what is there that can be known. Then what is the relation of the knower and the known? The second bit, what is the relation between knower and the known? That is epistemological question. Epistemological. It is epistemological. What are these words? We will understand this here in small video also. So this things becomes very clear. Yeah. And the third one is how do we find the things is about methodology. It is about methodology one, and then this is becoming the second part of our discussion: what, why, and how of literature review. Yeah? Okay, so first is that what is this ontological things? Yeah? What is ontological kind of thing, and how we can see that? Well, here is a small video. Let us keep on watching the video and try to understand this concept here.
What is ontology? Let me give you a general introduction to the word and the concept. The word itself comes from two Greek words, namely on.
The word comes from two words, yes, onto. Yes, onto means existence, okay. Existence, or you can say being. Yes, onto. And logia means the study, yeah? Plus science or study, okay. Yes. Ontological. So you can say that what is this question is the study of existence. Study of now study of existence means whose existence? We can say our existence. We can say knowledge is existence also. Now, because of this, even this word will get confused. We will get confused into the meaning when we discuss those things. But still, onto, existence, or being, study of being, or study of or science of existence. Yeah? Okay. Then let us see what else we can see here.
Which means existence or being real, and logia, which means science or study. And the word ontology is used both in a philosophical context and a non-philosophical context. And let's start with the former. Ontology in a philosophical context. Well, it's basically the study of what exists, what is being real, what is real. And examples of philosophical ontological questions could be: what are the fundamental parts of the world and how are they related to each other? Are physical parts more real than immaterial concepts? For example, are physical objects such as shoes more real than the concept of walking? And in terms of what exists, what is the relationship between shoes and walking? And why is ontology important in philosophy? Well, philosophers use this concept of ontology to discuss questions, to build theories and models, and to consequently better understand the ontological status of the world. And over time, there's been two major branches: ontological materialism and ontological idea.
Okay, before we see this the other aspect of materialism and idealism, yeah, this I said that there was the example of shoes and walking. Yeah, that what is relation between shoes and walking? Yeah, that you can see. Now, if you want to take this in your context, then you can say that shoes is something tangible, something that we can see, we can touch. Walking is something abstract. Yes, walking is something abstract. Now, in that case, you can say that the text that you are studying are your shoes, and the theories which are behind that is walking. So that relation also you can see, theory and the text. So shoes are something that are defined also, and within that framework, the shoes become very significant. Now, what will decide ultimately my walking? Is my walking important or my shoes important? If I got a best quality shoes, but if my walking itself is problematic, then what the shoes will do? And if my walking is excellent, but if I get a very poor shoes, then also what will happen? So there is a kind of a relation between shoes and walking, which you will find within theory and the text that you want to study, or you yourself and your research area also, that how you will try to see between those things. That becomes very important here. Then it is divided into material and idealism, material ontology and ideal. Let us see what is that part which it tries to say here. I'm sharing the screen again. Okay, I hope you are able to see the screen. Ontological materialism and idealism.
Materialism, from a philosophical perspective, is the belief that material things such as particles, chemical processes, and energy are more real than, for example, the human mind. So the overall belief within ontological materialism is that reality exists regardless of a human observer. And in ontological idealism, on the other hand, the belief is that immaterial phenomena such as the human mind and the consciousness are more real than the material things. And the belief here is that reality is constructed in the mind of the...
Yes. Now, so this is very important. Ontological materialism and ontological idealism. Yes. So what we see here, this now try to understand this. Ontological materialism, yes, the belief that material things such as particles, chemical processes, energy are more real than the human mind. The belief is that reality exists regardless of human observer. Yes, these words are very important. Yes? Reality exists regardless of human observer or human mind. So the relation you see is that there is a kind of a reality, and then there is human agency, you can say human mind, which observes the reality. Now this materialism is said that reality, the world, it exists even if human mind perceives it or not. It is there. The second one, ontological idealism, it says the opposite of that. If you see that, it says belief is that reality is constructed in the mind. Reality is constructed in the mind, human mind, in observer. Yes, so here the agency, that is observer, is very, very important. So what is world for me? What the way I want to see the world, I will see the world. The way I want to perceive the world, I can perceive that. That is ontological idealism. Materialism says that world exists irrespective of the observer. Now you will see that in either way things are true. Things are true in terms of materialism also. Things are true in terms of idealism also. For example, the idea that comes like Descartes said that I think, therefore I am. I think, therefore I am. The other opposite, I am, therefore I think, also is equally true. So if I am not there, what can I think? My being, I am, is my being. My being, whether my being precedes my existence, my existence precedes my thinking, or my thinking decides who am I. Other way, I think, therefore I am, also is quite true, because whatever I am is all about my thinking. Now in that case, my world, my universe, the people around me, they all are just a product of my thinking. They are product of my thinking. So it means that I am constructing my reality. The mind is constructing my reality. It is also said that seeing is believing. seeing is believing, but we can also find the limitation in this idea that there may be things which we have not seen and yet it can exist. So I cannot say that I have not seen, so the thing do not exist. Thing is not ontological. If I have not seen, it doesn't mean it is not existing. Many times in research, you will find that you will make some kind of proposition that this is this and there is no other things. Now, when we say there is no other thing, it is like that I have not seen America, so America is not existing. I have not seen America. Now, it is not so. Seeing is believing is fine, but there may be those things which may exist beyond our comprehension also. So we have to believe in both the things, both the ontological materialism also, as well as ontological idealism also. And when you sit down to write your literature review and other thing, you can use these words also. You can use that. If you see from this point of view, you can say this. If you are there as an ontological idealism and you are constructing some kind of reality as an observer, then that also is possible. So if you are doing more of philosophical and theoretical work, if you are doing more of philosophical and theoretical work, then this idea, ontological idealism, is very important for you, because that is where you are going to construct the reality as an observer. You are going to construct a new reality of seeing things in your research as an observer. But if you are trying to look something that is already existing there, and that it is already there even if you are not there, like for example ELT, Mega and Komal are doing about finishing school or other kinds of things. So it is something that is there as a material, even if you observe it or not. At that time, ontological materialism, that exists irrespective of human mind. Even if you are not there as an observer, it is still there. Whereas in theoretical position, your interpretation is creating something new. Your interpretation is creating something new. So both the things are very significant. In your research, how do you use ontological materialism or idealism? It will be very, very interesting for you also to see that. So this is where you are trying to make your positions very clear in these observations. In between, if you still have any questions, you can keep on asking, or if you want to ask question at the end, then also you can keep your questions ready. That if while we are discussing, if you want to add or say anything, then you can either ask in between or at the end of the class also. Okay, so this is this part. Let us complete this small video. Okay, so that is okay, fine. Ontological, I think that makes our point very clear about what is ontological question that we want to do. Now the second is epistemology.
What is epistemology? The word itself comes from two Greek words, episteme, which means knowledge or understanding, and logia, which means science or study. So in a philosophical context, epistemology is the study of knowledge in general. And examples of philosophical epistemological questions are, what does...
Yeah, so this point is clear. Episteme means knowledge, yes, and epistemological means the study of knowledge. Study of knowledge. This becomes very important. So here it was existence. Yes, ontology, study of existence, but then you also study the existence of knowledge. Yeah, that's why this tend to become confusing also, that whether my question is ontological or whether my question is epistemological. Yeah, that will be confusing state. But here, when you are questioning the study of knowledge, that how knowledge comes into existence, how knowledge can be studied, what are the ways of studying knowledge, what are the ways of studying knowledge, that is there. And when you ask this question, you say that how this knowledge came into existence, how the knowledge came into existence, your question is ontological. But if you are trying to see that how I can study this knowledge, then my question is epistemological question there. Well, let us try to see more about what are these ways of knowing the knowledge, where the epistemological process can also become very clear to us. Okay? Well, let us see this video.
What does knowledge mean, and how does a person get to know something, and what is the basis for true knowledge? What is knowledge? Some say it's justified true belief. It means that a person must be able to justify the claim, and the claim itself must be true, and the person must also actually believe in it. Let's assume that a person says, I know that people have walked on the moon. For this to be true knowledge, it must be possible to justify that claim. It must also be a fact. And finally, the person must also actually believe that people have walked on the moon. So how do you justify a belief? Well, it's done by using evidence. This evidence must be of good quality, and it should also be a logical and reasonable piece of evidence. Over time,
Okay, let us briefly discuss this and then we move on to that. So what is knowledge? If we, a simple definition is something like belief, for example. Now, so the word belief again will be confusing word. Belief will be a bit of confusing word because we were talking about doubt and this. So, but in this belief, what it says that belief is something that can be justifiable with the help of evidence. Yes, with the help of evidence. Anything that you can justify with the help of evidence, that becomes the component of belief that you consider knowledge. Otherwise it is not there. Now, if you ask, supposing you are doing a survey, and you are asking people that, do you believe in ghost? Do you believe in ghost or not? Many people will say, yes, they believe in ghost. Now, does it mean that ghost really exists because so many people believe in that? Or you ask whether God exists or not, and you find that so many people say that they believe so it exists? No, it is, you can call it lok vidya. You can call that the folk knowledge systems, lok vidya you can call, but you can't call it this knowledge here. You can't call that the knowledge is to be tested, this belief. So if you say that 90% of the people in my survey said that God exists or ghost exists, so I conclude that God or ghost exists, is not complete study. It is not at all a knowledge. That survey is meaningless survey. It is meaningless. It is not anywhere in a process of knowledge creation also. No way it leads to any kind of. Now that is where, if your method is about survey, your method is about asking people, you have to be very careful. You have to be very careful. That people may say this or that. Does it mean that that becomes true? No, it doesn't become true. You have to check that. You have to check with the help of evidences about that, and you have to see that whether this evidences also, are also of good quality. You have to see whether are they of good quality. Then are they logical? And are they, plus you can say, reasonable? Yeah, so this is how you can say that what people believe by and large as something as a knowledge is to be tested with the help of evidence. And this evidence also is not simply that 90% people said this, 70% people said this. So this prime minister is very good, that chief minister is very good because this many percentage of people said this. The research scholar will say that this is bakwas. These all things are bakwas. If you write all this thing in your thesis, the people will say, well, this is not the research. This is not the research. You are just supporting the popular belief systems, which is not knowledge, which is absolutely no knowledge. Yeah. So knowledge creation is that whatever people believe is to be tested with the help of evidence. You don't say that, well, people believe, so I don't agree with that. No, it is not to deny what people believe in. What you have to do as a research scholar is to that what people believe in, what are the evidence based on which they are believing. And then you question evidence. Then you are questioning your evidence. Is it of good quality? Is it logical? Is it reasonable? Again, see, all these are abstract words. Now, what will you say, good quality or bad quality? Whether it is logical or illogical, reasonable or not, how will you decide? It is not that easy. That's why going into epistemology and asking that question is very tough, very difficult. And so at every level, we have to keep on defining ourselves. We have to keep on. So I have to say that, well, this is not good quality. This is not logical. Logical means something which you can tangibly prove something. It has to happen. It has to happen several times, for example. So if I say that, well, if I say, for example, that if I will do Chandan here, then it will what we call it? It will my pressure of this at my forehead will enlighten my Gnanendri, because there is a pressure, and acupressure is a science, and so that will happen there. Now that may happen, may not happen. That may happen, may not happen. But if I press a switch, the light will be on, the fan will be on. Now that is logical. 100 times you will put a switch on, the bulb will be, the lamp will enlighten. That is what you will say. But 100 times I will press, it doesn't mean that my Gnanendriya will be Prajavalit. It may not happen. Or people say if you keep a choti, then you will be Gnani. Now again, you may question that reasonably, logically, are these kinds of systems having any evidence or not? Well, I see that, well, women have long chotlas. So can we say women are more intelligent than the men? Are they? So is the long hair or a choti be anywhere an evidence that somebody is more knowledgeable or intellectual than the another one? Well, we may say no. You find it. You say that, well, this is not a good quality evidence. This is not logical. This is not reasonable also in that context. So that is what we can try to see here. So you have to ask yourself with your as this coursework, we can give you a theory of looking, but you will have to look at it. It will be you who are supposed to look at your things. If you are not able to question, then perhaps your research will remain incomplete also. Okay, let us see this video further. There are very interesting points in this.
This evidence must be of good quality, and it should also be a logical and reasonable piece of evidence. Over time, there's been two major branches of philosophical epistemology, namely empiricism and rationalism. Empiricism, true knowledge, is primarily founded on input from our senses, the empirical world around us. And it's important to refer to experience and observations when beliefs and claims are justified and proven. So ideas or traditions, well, they might be important, but they are not the primary, most important sources for new knowledge. Rationalism, on the other hand, emphasizes reason rather than experience and observations as the primary basis for justifying beliefs and claims. Thus, the rational, hence rationalism, and logical human mind is.
Okay, let me throw more light on this. Yeah. So what we say here is what we find here: epistemological. There is a philosophical epistemology. There is a non-philosophical epistemology also. Then which may call it formal epistemology. Then we can have formal. Then we can have genetic, and then we can have social. These are all different kind of epistemological study: formal, genetic, social, which is described in this later on there. Okay? But here, this is very important. Yeah? Philosophical epistemological, which is of interest to everybody. Everybody also. The research which are more theoretical based, that this is more important. If you are going towards a non-theoretical based, then social or genetic epistemology becomes more important there. But in a way, these are very important. Both the things are important for both. So there are two ways. There are two ways that we can say epistemological can be studied. The epistemological study can be done. So what we say by that, it is about knowledge creation, Gnan Surgeon. Our research, PhD research is basically intended, we can say what you are doing Gnan Surgeon. You are involved in the process of Gnan Surgeon. That is what you can say when you do that. So knowledge creation. So what is important is rationalism and empiricism. These two things are very important for Gnan Surgeon, the ways of knowing the things or this. Now here in rationalism, we find that there are this three ways in which it can be done. There are three ways in which it can be done. Well, the first one for rationalism is we can do it with the help of deductive reasoning. Yes, deductive or inductive method. Do you remember Northrop Frye? We have studied Northrop Frye, and Northrop Frye is applying this in archetypes of literary studies. Yeah? Archetypal study, the deductive and inductive method. Yes, centripetal, centrifugal. Centrifugal is doing this all things, that how you can go at the center of the things from outside, or you can go from center to outside. Yeah? Centrifugal and centripetal way, or inductive or deductive reasoning. The first thing that you can do here is that deductive reasoning, that is from you can say general to particular. Yes, from general to particular. Yes? From general to particular. That is one movement. That is why, see, your design of your syllabus, paper number 2 general, paper number 3 particular. Yes, so you are doing deductive reasoning. That is when you are thinking of your syllabus of general paper and then particular, and then you narrow down to your topic. So there is this process of rationalism that is also designed in research methodology, that you can carry on the work there. Okay? So that is this deductive reasoning from general to particular. That is one way of knowing things. Second one, the second way of knowing the things, if you see here, it is intuitive method. Intuitive method. Okay? Intuitive method. Now, intuitive method can have its own questions also. Okay, many people may not agree that intuitive method is like in Western methodology. Intuitive may not be given more stress, but in Eastern or the Oriental way of looking at the knowledge systems, intuition plays a vital role. So we believe in intuition also as something that generates knowledge. Intuition. So intuitively also we feel. So that also can be one of the methods that we can keep. But intuition is to be tested with the help of evidences, with good quality, logical, reasonable things. And intuition should also be the result of our observations. Yeah? Observations and our experiences. Yeah? It should be that. So now, when you put this intuitive here as a rationalism, then to a greater extent, when you say it has to be this, it becomes a part of empiricism also. So empiricism also. So intuition and empiricism are not agreeing with each other to a greater extent. But if you say that intuition should be an end result of your observations and experiences, then it also becomes what we try to see in empiricism also. And the third one, way of doing this rationalism is logical reasoning. Logical reasoning here. Okay? So in this logical reasoning, whatever mind accepts, that is truth. Whatever mind accepts, that is truth. That is how this is working. Now we know that all the three become a part of rationalism, but they have their own limitations also. Because when you go to skepticism, doubt, or ontological kind of a thing, and materialism, idealism, what mind perceives is reality, or mind constructs reality, and the reality exists without mind also. So it means that even all these three, when it is seen in some sort of existence of the knowledge through rationalism, through deductive, intuition, or logical reasoning, there will always be the possibility of this side or that side also. The darker side of the things will always remain in all this thing also. But this is also the way to understand epistemology or knowledge, that it has to be either deductive or intuitive or logical reasoning, that whatever mind believes, it can be true. Many times because of this logical reasoning and a kind of thing, people have a question about ghost or God or many other such kinds of things also. Now, it doesn't mean that all philosophers or all scientists who believe in logical reasoning do believe in God or do not believe in God. Either way it is. There are many people who believe in logical reasoning as very necessary part of knowing anything. They may also be believers of God. They may also be, but not God in some terms of what we say like avatar or any of those messengers, or not that God, but God in some terms of something that is yet to be read by us, some kind of a power which is yet not studied by us. That power, that way they believe that there might be something in the universe, that the world is organized in one or the another way. Even if the theory of just a Big Bang theory, bang, and then the world came into existence is there, but still people doubt lot many things about those also. So logical reasoning, mind is not able to comprehend how we came into existence or how the universe came into existence. We are not able to completely comprehend. We are not able to reach to the first point from where it began. We have theories. That's why in that power people believe that maybe there may be those things. So even these believers have that space always left in that, but it is obviously not the gods and goddesses which are more ritualistic and believed by the layman in that process. Empiricism, the next one, that is empiricism, is something that is seen by us, something that is felt by us, something that is experienced, something that is observed, our five senses, our gnanendri, whatever is felt by them, that is empirical evidence. So in research, normally people do field work, or people do survey, they do interviews to understand this. They meet people, they observe themselves, they go and observe. That is the part of this empiricism. That in theoretical things, empiricism is not very important, but rationalism is very important so far as theoretical researches are concerned. But in field work, in ELT kind of a paper, empiricism, the observations and other things are very important part of looking at this. Okay, so this is how epistemology can be seen here, and then further it is divided into genetic and social. So how human being comes into existence, what are the genetic code, how we study those things. And genetic epistemology is telling us so many things now about our existence, human body, what kind of skin color we have, hair we have, whether we'll go bald after some years or not, whether we'll have diabetes or not after some years. Genetic study, that is knowledge about genetic. And then social, also epistemological, social structures and everything can be studied. If you are trying to look society through literature or literature and society, then social epistemology is very important for you. But either case, this process is very important. So two things are important. What is ontology and what is epistemology? What is ontological question is all about the existence of everything, including we as knower, we as research scholar. Who am I? What am I trying to do? What gave me the right to study this in this way or observe in this way? What is my stance? That is all. And my knowledge, how it came into existence. Now, as soon as I go into that my knowledge, what I want to know, how it came into existence, I enter into epistemological questioning. And here I have to say that, well, rationalism and empiricism, it has to drive my process of the thing. It cannot be that મને એવું લાગે છે કે આવું હશે, ઘણા બધા એમ કહે છે કે આવું હશે, હું થોડો સર્વે કરીને 100 લોકોને પૂછી લઉં અને બધા માને છે એટલે all it is supporting. No, it cannot be like that. We have to move in deductive reasoning, intuitive method, logical reasoning, and empiricism becomes very integral part to observe and enter into all these things here. So this is our first part. The first part that we wanted to discuss in this is about this. The second part we want to see is now going into literature review and asking that what kind of questions we can ask in literature review there. This is the entry gate to enter into literature review, or research questions that we want to ask here. Okay. If you have any questions here, you can ask. If you have any questions, doubt, or any clarification in this, if you want, then you can ask. Or if it is clear, everybody, you got the clear idea? What is it? And when you write, if you can use this terminology while doing your work, then it will be very good. If you can use some of the terminologies to when you explore your area or try to write, it will be good. It will display that well you are aware about the process of thinking, how to think as a research scholar, that you are aware. It will reflect that you are aware about thinking processes. Yeah. Yes. Any questions then? You got the idea? Have you understood the concept?
Yes. Yes, understood.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. Fine. So then we end our session here today. Yeah. Okay. So today we end our session here. Tomorrow we will try to, now we see into literature review, and if time will permit, then examples also tomorrow we will discuss. Okay. So we end our session here with this.
Yes.